Welcome to WWP Clips. This is the official Clips channel for We Want Picks. We will be uploading our individual fight breakdown videos here, so make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. And as always, go to wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. Next up, at UFC Long Island, we have Bill Algeo taking on Herbert Burns. Bill Algeo is 15-6 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, alternating wins and losses. Herbert Burns is 11-3 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off a TKO loss 2 full years ago. And this fight is a new fight for the card. So both Bill Algeo and Herbert Burns were on the card with different opponents. Their opponents dropped, and the UFC said, well, screw it, you two can fight each other. So there's no short notice factor here as far as like training camp is concerned, but styles make fights, and stylistically there have been some opponent changes, and that could affect these guys if they're preparing for one fighter and they're getting another. Bill Algeo is a fast-paced striker who has kind of a karate-style stance and like where he keeps his hands and things like that. And because of that, he's got some solid defense and surprisingly high output with almost 6 significant strikes per minute. He likes a dirty stand-up war if he can keep it there. He does have some okay takedowns, but he has a low 44% takedown accuracy. He's got a BJJ black belt, great cardio, at a fast pace, and he's super durable. Herbert Burns is the younger brother of Gilbert Burns, and not that being related to anybody means that you're going to be any good. Like, look at Valentina and Antonina Shevchenko, but it does mean that you're around quality coaching, quality opponents, high-level training partners, and that it's been like that for a while. Similar to what we said about Ayman Sahabi last week for UFC Vegas 58, right? Like, his brother is a very good coach, and he's just been around that coaching forever, and he looked good. So Herbert Burns could benefit from the people around him. And while Herbert is not nearly as good as his brother is, he's a solid fighter. He's a solid grappler. He's got decent power in his hands. He averages freaking almost 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. And even though we have not seen him fight in 2 full years, he does have quality wins over grapplers like Evan Dunham and Derek Minner. The problem is that he can
Derek
at
Minner.
times
I know that name.
Yeah,
Derek,
there you go.
Who
Lots
else
of bums beat Derek Minner. Lots of bums.
Nice one. Nice way to he headed that off really well. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna talk about that absolute clown show, Ryan
About
Hall,
who?
every show. Anyway.
Oh, Ryan Hall. You said Ryan Hall. Oh, Ryan Hall.
The problem with Herbert Burns is that he can be submission or bust. He's very dangerous on the ground, but and he has solid submission defense, but anybody who also has solid submission defense can leave Herbert on his back, just losing minutes, losing rounds, and then eventually losing the fight. Get that out of here, dude. Bill Algeo's win over Joanderson Brito was really impressive. He doubled the number of strikes. He went 2 for 2 on takedowns, and he had 5 minutes of control time. He also defended 2 takedowns, and he was the busier fighter overall in 3 rounds. And I only bring this up because Joanderson Brito is very good. He's very active, and I think beating him means something. So MMA math is almost meaningless, but wins over solid opponents is not. And if Algeo can bring that same pressure, the wrestling defense, and that energy into this fight, I think he wins. I think his BJJ black belt should keep him out of trouble, and his striking should cause some trouble. So Burns is coming back after that 2-year layoff, and while I'm sure he's going to be well prepared, I don't think Algeo is going to give him the room or time to catch his breath or adjust. So Algeo's the pick. I'm glad the UFC was able to keep these guys on the card, and I actually grabbed Algeo at -160 money line last week, and I know you and I disagree on that. So, yeah. Hold on. We have a new member. Welcome, Patrick Shelley, to membership. You qualify for Jacob's $50 Lock of the Week giveaway. Why shouldn't I have said that?
I'm just trying to get in your head now. I'm just making you try to second guess.
I was going to say, of all the...
You were like, why shouldn't I have said that? Like, oh, God. Is it my breakdown time? I didn't hear if there was a transition. I'm just
sure is.
So Herbert Burns is a guy that before his last fight, he's had 2-year layoff. Obviously, I think Angela mentioned that. And before that, I mean, just got his ass beat by Daniel Pineda. He missed weight for that fight. That was a bad overall performance for him. And honestly, when I look back at that fight, I rewatched that fight, I think that might be the best thing for his career because he was just running through people up to that point. I mean, 4 first-round finishes. We really didn't have anyone that came up against him that was any sort of threat. So I think he was getting a little lazy, getting a little sloppy. And I think that was an opportunity to really refocus him and show, there's levels to this game. And to take that next level, maybe take some time off and work on my game. And if you look at the Instagram, I always do the Instagram deep dives. It looks like he's in the best shape I've ever seen him in. And I think that the camps with Gilbert are going to help him tremendously because as you grow, I think as a camp grows, I think all the fighters in a camp kind of grow together. Obviously, he's brothers with Gilbert Burns. And Gilbert Burns in the last 2 years with Herbert Burns being out has looked better than he's ever looked. The guy almost became the champion. He knocked down Usman. Obviously, ended up losing that fight. And then everyone didn't think he'd had a shot in hell versus Chimaev and didn't look great in that matchup. But he had moments in that fight where it was like, holy shit, Gilbert Burns is like the truth. And Herbert's been side by side with him up to this point. I'm going to go Herbert Burns this matchup, but it's more because Bill Algeo is not a dangerous guy, right? He's a decision machine. He's not a threat on the feet. He wins fights on the feet, as you mentioned, with the pace, the pressure. He turns everything into a brawl. He makes things nasty, and that's how he kind of wears people down. Can he do that to Herbert Burns? I think he probably can. I think the path to victory, that's why he's the favorite. And you putting money line on Bill Algeo, I don't disagree with that, right? Because you can see that path to victory. He just needs to overwhelm him and break him down cardio-wise. But if this gets to the ground, the way that Joe Anderson Brito was able to control certain positions versus Bill Algeo, and I know Joe Anderson Brito is a good grappler in himself, but he's not on the level that Herbert Burns is. If Herbert Burns gets you down on the ground and gets your back, and I know that Bill Algeo is a very experienced black belt, he's going to be in a big trouble in the matchup. So I watched the Brito fight. I see the layoff for Herbert Burns. I think he's going to use those 2 years coming off the embarrassing loss, missing weight, being around Gilbert for the 2 years. I think this is going to be the best Herbert Burns you're going to see coming in this matchup against a guy that just frankly is not very dangerous unless he's on the ground and has the grappling advantage. And in this fight, I don't think he does. So my pick is going to be Herbert Burns. I don't feel great about it. It's not like a super definitely lock of the week pick because Bill Algeo has that path to victory. But I think it finds a way to the ground, and Herbert Burns is dangerous down there. So my pick is going to be Herbert Burns, but I don't disagree with the Bill Algeo money line play.
Yeah, I definitely think Herbert's live, and anytime you get a talented fighter with that kind of layoff, you don't know what you're going to get. You just don't know, right? Like, who knows what he's going to look like? He could come out looking like a killer, or he can just, it's just a dud, right? He showed up for a paycheck, and he's going to be a slug. We don't know, right? So you have to.
I have my notes. Sorry, I have in my notes real quick. I think that whoever ends up on top in the scramble is going to win because you saw Herbert Burns in the guard versus Pineda just get the absolute shit beat out of him. If he's on top, I think he wins. If Bill Algeo is able to win some scrambles, end up on top, I think he can control those positions as well. So it's not necessarily they go to the ground, Burns is going to win. Algeo's got his shots as well on the scrambles.
Yeah, I mean, DraftKings wise, I think Algeo wins. I have to look a little closer at how he scores in DraftKings, right? I want to see what he scores in his fights because, like you said, he's not very dangerous. So, $8,700. While I do think he wins, I don't think he's going to get a stoppage per se. So that's, I'm leaving points on the table there, and he's just have to land a ton of strikes because he's not going to be looking for his own takedown. So it's really just strikes only. And Herbert Burns could get some takedowns and still lose this fight and just end up on top with some control time, win a round or two. And all of a sudden, that $7,500, if you think Herbert wins, is not a bad price. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of favorites on this card that I was looking at my DraftKings today when I was setting my lineup. I'm like, holy shit. Like, even the favorites that I think are going to win, I don't think they're going to score very well for DraftKings. So, yeah, I don't love the $8,700, obviously, because I picked Herbert Burns. But that's decent value at $7,500 for Burns. But I don't know if I trust him enough for my lineup. He's not in my lineup right now.
Yeah, frankly, this might be a double up the main event kind of card. But Monkey, Night Fight, strike line 95-48. Those numbers are interesting because Chris puts those numbers together. It's just math. How long is this fight expected to go, and how many strikes do they normally land per minute? Frankly, Bill Algeo does land 95.5 strikes. Like, he lands a lot. His output is insane, just constantly pressuring. So I think this might be a more, but in order for Herbert to get to that 48, he's going to need a couple of takedowns. And Bill Algeo's takedown defense is not amazing. His submission defense is solid. His takedown defense is not amazing. So I see Bill lighten Herbert up the first round. Second round, Herbert might get a takedown, as he falls into a rhythm. And or frankly, it could be the opposite as well. But I think it's a more, even though those lines are super far apart. I think it's a war, and I think it's more. What do you think?
I hate those lines. I hate them.
All right.
I'm not going to say anything. I hate
Jacob's
them.
not going to touch him.
Fuck you, Chris.
All right. Jacob's not going to touch those lines. If you're confident in either side, WeWantPicks.com/ Okay. Very clever. You guys want 50 free bucks? You can take that, spend it on a therapist after listening to this creep say creep things. Go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. We send you 50 bucks as a thank you.